We welcome you to another live edition of the Sports Box, brought to you by our friends at CrowdPlay. Download the free CrowdPlay app today and use the box at sign up for 10 points. And here we go.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Total Degenerates here on the Sports Box Network. We are fresh off a huge week one in the NFL. I am Brian Hess, joined once again by Paul Allen, Ryan Hovermale taking the night off. What's going on, Paulie? Paulie Scoops.
What's up, man? Must be nice to just take off whenever you want. As Mr. Hovermale, God knows what he's up to tonight. How was your first weekend?
Oh, bro. Listen, before we get into all that, let's hit our sponsor, CrowdPlay. Download the app on the Apple App Store or Google Play. Use the box, code THEBOX, THEBOX, for 10 points at sign up. Free to play, win, cash, and prizes. Yeah, week one, basically burning my money, throwing it in the street. Just no good. Colts. Way too. I bet way too much chalk. I had the Colts. Colts straight up. Colts in a teaser, and then they lose outright, and it just screws everything up for me. Basically, I had the Ravens. Ravens did well.
Colts was probably the worst loss of the NFL slate. I mean, I was looking at it, just even like survivor pools. Everybody had the Colts in them, and that was a pretty rotten performance. I mean, just from what you thought was Phillip Rivers going in there trying to rejuvenate that Indy franchise. They didn't look good at all. Gardner Minshew kind of tore him up a little bit.
Dude, he was really efficient. 19 and 20, 3 touchdowns. The running game was okay with James Robinson, which I thought, they would struggle a little bit, but he looked pretty good. And
yeah, James Robinson had a lot of work. Which is, I mean, I was thinking more so like Chris Thompson was going to be getting a majority of that work. Being
right.
His old offensive coordinator from Washington, and he had 2 passes his way, no attempts, so
nothing,
no catches. He didn't do anything,
barely anything. So yeah, let's start off with the opening game, Thursday night game, Texans and Chiefs, and right away we start off with a good beat for me because I had the over 53.5, but they kick a field goal at the end, to put it over. And I'm thinking, right away, right off the bat, first game, and we got like a big swing with 20 seconds left in the game. A lot of money changing hands, I'm sure. Anybody who bet the under is probably cursing up and down. After that one, the Chiefs comfortably cover the 9.5, which was the biggest spread of the week.
Yep.
Houston really looked like they were missing DeAndre Hopkins a lot. Will Fuller had a good game, but nobody else really stepped up. Brandon Cooks, Kenny Stills, I don't believe he even had a catch. David Johnson looked okay. But, Chiefs, especially with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, looking really, really good in that first game.
Yeah, he did. That's should solidify the fantasy woes. I know his stock was he was like top 6 pick, and I know a lot of people in the leagues I was in was hesitant on taking Helaire. I have him in 2 leagues, so not too upset with that.
I also have him in 2 leagues. Yep.
Yeah. Obviously, I was on the wrong side of the Thursday night bet. I mean, I loved Houston. And like you said, they were missing something. I mean, Watson he didn't get going until pretty much the fourth quarter.
Right.
He got a couple garbage, even in fantasy anyway. He got a couple garbage touchdowns. But, yeah, I got waxed with that. So, and they were tied in a parlay with some baseball bets. Just started the week off bad and just kept continually getting worse. Saturday, I mean, I did all right during the day, and getting to like what was Clemson came on at 7.
Yeah,
on 7:00, and that is where my weekend just went completely south. I don't think I won another bet from then on, by itself anyway. So did not profit on another bet after Clemson. And Clemson was sick. I had parlay wrap like Coastal Carolina money line. We had the Phillies in it and all these things. It was like stupid $40 parlay. Paid $600. Clemson is the only game, doesn't cover. And it's just like I don't even know why I get trapped into it. It's like I mean Texas minus 41 or 44, whatever the hell they were. Had them all these good ones, and Dabo takes out Trevor Lawrence in the fuck. That was it halfway through.
Of course, quarter, yep.
And you don't score again. So I mean and I think you're gonna see that a lot more this year with those leads. I mean they were up 34 and Dabo took him out. You're gonna get that a lot more with the COVID season and guys not wanting to get hurt. Those starters coming out a little bit earlier.
Yeah, especially because those guys are looking more towards their draft stock. So they're not going to take any chances. Coaches, especially, they're especially with a shortened schedule. They want to keep guys fresh as possible. Now, my Saturday went pretty south as well. The Big 12 stinks. Okay, I had Iowa State money line. Their money line tied up in a parlay. They lose outright by 17 to Louisiana Lafayette. That was their first win over a top 25 team in 24 years.
I was on Iowa State as well.
Come on, man.
I was like, wait, yep. I mean, even that game, I think special teams killed us there. They had they scored the first touchdown. Next kickoff, they returned it for a touchdown. That was the fifth kickoff returned for a touchdown by Louisiana since I think they said 2000. So
jeez.
Barely never happens for them. They said it was the fourth or fifth ever, and then they had 2 in one game because they returned a punt later on in that game.
I'll always tell you, if you have a defensive touchdown or special teams touchdown scored against you when you're betting, forget it, dude. It's over. It's 95% of the time you're not winning that bet.
No. Yeah, no, that's or hitting the under.
Well, yeah, that too. Yep, because it's a non-offensive touchdown, and it gives that other team the momentum. And it's your defense is putting up points. It's your non-offensive points. Arkansas State goes into Kansas State and beats them. I had the Iowa State, Kansas State money line and one other team which I didn't even care. I think it was Clemson. And this guy I work with, who's usually pretty bad with betting, says to me on Friday, he goes, take Houston Baptist plus 39 over Texas Tech. And I'm like, yeah, okay, dude. And he's like, no. They have a really good quarterback. And, I'm like, yeah, okay. Right. They almost won that game outright, man. They only lost by 2 in Texas Tech, in Lubbock. And, of course, I'm like, the one time I don't listen to the guy. It's unbelievable.
Who was that?
That was Houston Baptist. They lost 35-33 to Texas Tech.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, I don't see myself jumping on them either.
Right, but for him to just throw a team like that out there, I'm like, yeah, okay, bro.
Yeah, maybe I have to bring him on. Because I mean, everyone.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that. This guy is no good.
I had Notre Dame. I took Notre Dame. They did nothing for me. They played Duke. I think they won 27-13. They just were stagnant the entire game. That was probably one of the more boring games. You just kept looking down. It's just nothing happened. And Notre Dame kind of looked like shit. Duke's defense looked like they actually were came to play some football this year. So
it's going to be interesting, these Notre Dame games, now that they're playing a full ACC schedule. So, the ACC besides Clemson is a little suspect, but there should be some decent games, and I want to see how Notre Dame kind of stacks up, actually playing a conference schedule for the first time in forever, basically.
Yeah, what do they got? South Florida, Wake Forest coming up. They got week 4 for them. They got Florida State, so that might be their first semi-test. I mean, Florida State lost outright to Georgia Tech. Also had Florida State.
Mm-hmm. I know Florida State costs a lot of people money.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I do it every year with them for the past 3-4 years. It's just like, all right, they're Florida State. They got to do something. And they just consistently laid duds.
Yeah, I mean, that program since Jimbo left has really, really been struggling.
Yeah, no, it hasn't. I mean, they had like 6 quarterbacks. I feel like have went through there that were like the saving grace,
right?
And just either every one of them gets hurt, or they just stink. But I mean, that's Notre Dame's like first kind of test. Louisville, Pitt, Georgia Tech. They got
Clemson, North Carolina. They got some ranked teams in their schedule.
Notre Dame
5 or 6
end up in the college football playoff. If they
definitely have a tougher road than they usually do.
You think they have a tough?
I mean, I guess you can't really go by the rankings because there's no Big Ten teams in there, and there's no Pac-12 teams in there either. So,
I mean, I'm looking North Carolina, Syracuse, Boston College, Pittsburgh, Georgia Tech. I mean, I could see maybe, like I said, Florida State, Clemson. I mean, Pittsburgh's always a tough play.
Right. So, I mean, unless they beat Clemson, which I don't foresee that happening, I mean, that's going to be the one loss, and then they have to win every other game to make the playoff, in my opinion.
Well, now it's
going to be tough.
And I'm assuming, well, not assuming, I guess Big Ten, if they start, they can't catch up in time to get into a playoff, or do they wait? Because they said Big Ten's going to be, the hot mic today, they came out and said that there's should be a statement out today or a decision finalized today or tonight by the guy in Nebraska who was on the mic, like the president of whatever he was. They said it was something about November 17th for the Big Ten to start.
Man, I mean, would they move the playoff back then?
Well, they were talking about, I thought it was an 8-game schedule possibly coming out of the Big Ten to catch up. Because, I mean, Bama doesn't play until what? Like 2 more weeks? Like, they don't play next week, I don't believe. I was looking at Bama, like, I feel like they don't play until the 26th. It's like...
Yeah, and none of the SEC plays, I don't think, until the 26th. That's when they start. Yep. So, I mean, and they're playing like what, a 10-game schedule?
Right, if they play a 10.
So if the Big Ten starts on November 17th.
So all you got to do is really produce a champion, right?
Correct. So
in your conference.
Correct. So if you were to play out that whole 8-game schedule, that would basically put that 8th game at the very beginning of January. So you're talking like January 5th, maybe?
Which
and
is
do you push back bowl games because now you're taking the New Year's Day tradition out and all that stuff?
are they they're full-fledged set on a slate of whole bowl games as well?
I don't know what exactly their plan is for postseason play, but
I would say this would be college football's year to go to that 6-team playoff.
Yeah.
Wait it out. 6 teams, try that whole scenario out. And then what? You're a week behind schedule to finish your season in the middle of a pandemic.
That's not bad.
Right. And that would be Big Ten starting in November, right?
Yep.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
We should be on the college football
committee
there because we just
just figured it out.
A week delayed. Just produce a Big Ten and maybe a Pac-12 champion. I don't know if Pac-12 is going to play at all. I just heard it was all on Big Ten. You would hope they would all come back if you're the only one not playing besides the Ivy League.
Right.
Ivy League will probably never say that they were. I don't think they care about football too much.
No, I mean they're basically basketball and the other sports. But if the Big Ten comes back, which the Big Ten kind of like has a lot of crap on their face because they were the first ones to come out and say, "Well, we're not playing," and then the other leagues, and they expected the other leagues to kind of follow suit.
Right? Yeah, and
the other leagues were like, "Nah, we're playing, dude. Forget you."
Yeah, no, I mean that's exactly what happened. They thought everybody would back off and not. Technical difficulties.
You're good.
They said that came and bit them in the ass pretty quick, and they felt heat immediately. And then you're throw out a half-ass plan of we'll do a season in spring, right when the NFL draft is going on. That's not going to work because now nobody's playing. It's just, but hopefully they come back. I mean, I can see Pac-12 just not even having a season.
Well, they're the worst Power 5 conference anyway, so they haven't made a playoff in 3 years. Oh, you got to yeah. All right.
Flag.
All right, moving on to Sunday, and we'll get it right out of the way. The Eagles laying 5.5, and they get out to a 17-0 lead. Now, I actually liked Washington with the points in this game. I thought the Eagles would win the close game, and after the first quarter and a half, I'm like, damn,
you're gonna blow them out.
Yeah, and so Wentz throws an interception late in the first half. Washington goes down and scores. Second series out of halftime, Wentz throws another pick. Washington goes down and scores. They had all the momentum after that. Eagles could not do anything. Couldn't protect Wentz. Not much of a fantasy day for anybody besides Dallas Goedert on the Eagles. Washington really didn't have a big fantasy day unless you happen to start Peyton Barber, which I don't think anybody was doing. He scored twice, even though he averaged less than 2 yards a carry.
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin had a average day by his standards.
Yeah, he shit the bed a little bit for what I got him in a league or two. But it just the Eagles suck.
Chris Tenta putting it perfectly. How do you lose to a team with no name?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't have all the answers for that. Probably, I think it is. Is it tonight? Green Room.
Tomorrow night.
8:30.
They'll definitely break it down further.
Sure. They'll run through everything for you guys. I mean, I obviously take the Eagles just as a homer, which I pretty much do every week. It's almost Carson Wentz. Once he gets he's fine. He was grooving, went down the field every possession to start. I think what they do: touchdown, field goal, touchdown. You're up 17-0, and he throws the pick. Then he gets in his head, and then it's a bad possession. He was 0 for 6 with 2 interceptions in that little span from when he threw the first pick. I heard him say it was 94-1. Yeah, so 0 for 6, 2 interceptions, and from there he just went completely downhill. It was like 6 of his next 14. Because he started the game, he was like they have the little QB tracker off to the side now, and I mean he started the game. It was like 2 touchdowns, 170 yards, 17 of 21, and ended like 25 of 42. And it's like you throw 2 picks, and he's just completely wheels fell off for the entire team, which is not a good sign moving forward for the Eagles. Anything else you had 1 o'clock wise?
Seattle, Atlanta, which was a barn burner, and the line closed at Falcons -1. Depending on where you got it, some places were a pick 'em, but Atlanta was -1, and I know a lot of people took Atlanta because they expected Seattle to be favored, and being that Atlanta was -1, given the point that they were jumping on Atlanta, and I mean this game was just Wilson and Ryan slinging it.
Oh yeah,
back and forth.
I mean, I did have the over in this game.
That's good.
I was very, very pleased, and it was actually a straight bet too, so it kind of helped. I mean, everything that I'm saying is fugazi because I ended up maxing out my account. So whatever I did throughout my week didn't really matter. But yes, I did have the Falcons over. Also, Russell Wilson in fantasy helped a lot. In like 55 points in my one league.
322 yards, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. Can only imagine what he did in Wilhelm's league. For whoever has them, it's probably about a 70-point outing.
That sounds about right. If you had a Falcons receiver, you probably made out pretty well in fantasy.
Calvin
all
Ridley.
Of them had over 100 yards. I have Calvin Ridley. Julio Jones doing his thing, 9 catches. They all had 9 catches. Julio, Calvin Ridley, and a hot name you'll probably know coming off the waiver wire after week 1 is Russell Gage, who last year, after they traded Mohamed Sanu, the guy was really good.
Yeah.
And Hooper was hurt too. So, I mean, he was the third option. Now, the whole thing with him this year was, well, they have Hayden Hurst. And is he really going to be able to put up that? Is he still going to be that third option, or is Hurst going to be that option? Well, after week 1, seems to be Russell Gage. And if that's the case, and Atlanta's going to throw it like crazy, Todd Gurley's probably never going to see more than 15, 20 touches a game. All right. Because he was he was only out there for so many snaps. I think he was only out there for about 35 snaps.
He had okay fantasy outing, though. He got his touchdown, right?
Yeah, 56 yards and a touchdown, 4 yards a carry. So, that's what you can expect from Gurley probably, average-wise. But it was about the passing games on both sides in that game, man.
Got Gurley tied up in a couple leagues. Just running back 2, sit in there, play your role. It's crazy how running backs are so high ceiling and just completely irrelevant within the next 2 years. Speaking of another irrelevant running back, Le'Veon Bell, IR 3 weeks.
I stayed away from Le'Veon Bell in fantasy, and I'm glad he proved me right because, listen, the guy is their offense, basically. I mean, he was out there for 100% of the snaps before he got hurt.
Yeah, and I mean,
he was 100% of the snaps. Not 100%, but like most of their offense last year, and he did not have a good year.
Right.
So
well, they didn't. He was on the field. They weren't even like utilizing him last year. Now this year they're trying to keep him on the field just as much and use him more. So I mean, it's just like it was kind of inevitable. And the sick part is I'm that much of a mush. I actually wanted him in like 4 or 5 leagues that I'm there, and I got him my first night of the draft. I got him, and then he got drafted in every other league like before I wanted him to get him. So it kind of worked out a benefit to me. But I mean, I think he's automatically out 3 weeks now that he's on IR.
Right.
He did nothing this week, so that's you're missing 4 weeks from a guy that people are reaching on in the 5th round, which is kind of fucking shitty.
Yeah.
Consider 2 years ago he was number 1 or 2 pick in the draft.
Yep.
Fantasy football.
That's it, man. I mean, it's fantasy is so much more about the team you're on and your surrounding talent,
Right?
More than your actual talent.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yep. I mean, you look at a
coaching
guy,
scheme, all that shit.
you look at a guy like Hilaire, who was top 6 projected player. He hasn't stepped foot on an NFL field, and they just know the best system that he's in. This guy's work set, yeah, he's going to be a stud, and I guarantee he probably will be. Although I think they dropped the ball, J.K. Dobbins. I've been super high on him in every league. He had barely any yards. He kind of had the Peyton Barber effect: no yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and he was actually on the field more than Mark Ingram, which was kind of a surprise.
It was a surprise because that was just a complete pull the wool over your head. Like, oh, Dobbins is 4th on our depth chart. They came out a week before that, and I'm like, there ain't no way this guy is number 4 on that depth chart. And it's a good running back staff, or committee, I guess you would say. Staff would be the coaching, but he fucking. Yeah, like you said, he led. Did he lead the running backs in on-field possession?
Yeah, he was on the field more than Ingram, much more than Edwards. Even though Ingram got more carries, I think
they used him.
Dobbins being on the field more and getting the goal line carries tells you a lot about what they expect to do with him moving forward this year. And that's going to be big things once the more and more he gets used to the NFL and used to this offense and more he sees the field, dude, this guy's going to be a stud.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take a cut from Will Holmes from that. That's how you either win fantasy. You do the Will Holmes, and I guess and his partner Hess here. They just draft the Ravens. How many Ravens does he have?
Dude, we took Lamar Jackson, J.K. Dobbins, Marquise Brown, who we didn't even start on Sunday,
right?
And Justin Tucker and the defense. Once we had the other 3 and we got to kickers and defense, we were like, well, we might as well take them because they're good. They're there. Screw it.
That's awesome. So load up on the Ravens. I had the Ravens under, and I don't know how it hit because I sat there and watched. I mean, the Ravens hung 38. Not a lot of times when the over-under is 47 and one team puts up almost 40 points by themselves and under hits. But, I mean, Baker Mayfield, is he just that much of a bust? Is that the term on him now? Somebody asked the question, is Baker Mayfield a bust?
Well, look, I think they were in a tough spot. Week 1, they're playing a very, very good Ravens team. They didn't get off to a great start because, after, I think he threw an interception, maybe the first or second series, and they got a touchdown, but then.
Was that in the red zone, that pick, too, I believe?
I believe so.
Like right before half, he might have threw. I seen one he threw that was really bad.
Yeah, and and Baltimore hits you so fast. So, and they score so fast sometimes that you could be in the game, and the kid, I think they were down 17-7 with about 3 minutes left. They miss a field goal that would have made it 17-10, respectable going into halftime, but he misses it, and the Ravens go down the field and score. Now you're down 24-7 at the half, or 24-6 at the half, whatever, and it kind of deflates you. And that offense was nowhere to be found in the second half at all. Odell Beckham, you keep thinking the guy's going to do something fantasy-wise, and the guy puts up another shitty week. You could say.
was actually one of the questions that just, I believe, got proposed. Right before the show, the Niners picked up Mohamed Sanu.
Good signing.
Yeah, I do like that.
Shanahan had him in Atlanta, so
makes sense. What so now and then obviously there's a headline today of Odell Beckham after week 1 turmoils is now on the trading block immediately. I've seen it. I mean, I feel like it's the same exact thing as last year. They had a bad week 1 or they might have even won. Did they win week 1 last year? I don't know. But it was immediately when things started going bad. It was just Odell's wants to be traded. Odell's on the trading block. I mean, I don't even know if it's true. I mean, is that anything that you hear anything on that?
I haven't heard much about Odell Beckham besides the fact that he likes to be pooped on. But there's some teams that would make sense. I think he's better off as like a number 2 guy. There's Baker. Green Bay would make a ton of sense, although I don't think they would take his attitude and his character in that locker room. Maybe New England, obviously. Bill loves to take chances on these diva guys that, Can
you imagine?
Oh, man.
Odell,
they can use a receiver, though.
Odell, Cam, and Belichick.
That would be something, man. That would be something to watch every week. But listen, there's Bill. Listen, he's 1-0. Brady's 0-1. So we'll get to the Dolphins Pats game here. How about Cam Newton? I mean, it's definitely he had 15 carries for 75 yards and 2 touchdowns.
How long is he going to stay healthy playing that way,
dude?
Probably.
That second touchdown, man. He took a big shot when he crossed the goal line, but listen, he's built to take these shots. But it's been like his ankles and his legs that have been the injuries. So if he can just avoid that, and I don't know for how long are they going to be able to run the offense this way, where he's the focal point of the offense?
Yeah,
they have Sony Michel, who's okay.
He had an all right little outing.
Yeah, he had a touchdown, so I'm sure he might be. I know he was on the bench for a lot of people, fantasy wise.
James White, was he irrelevant or?
He's a passing down specialist. I mean, and Brady used him a lot, obviously, but I don't think he is going to do well
with Cam. Yeah, the Patriots running backs are all fantasy wise anyway, a complete gamble.
Always.
You can put Rex Burkhead in one weekend and end up with 20 points out of him. So,
yeah. Here's the line on James White: 5 carries, 22 yards, 3 catches, 30 yards. So, I mean, the guy got 8 touches.
So the quarterback led the team in rushing.
Correct.
And he also broke the record in New England for most rushing attempts by a quarterback in his very first game, which I don't think is surprising to anybody. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look like he can throw the ball anymore, to be honest. So, I mean, I think he's got a little bit more issues with that moving forward than bringing in Odell Beckham. Because then if Cam can't hit Odell, just the mockery that would be of a media circus. I don't think Bill's that crazy. I don't think the Browns are going to trade Odell. I mean, I think that's your franchise receiver. They have a good receiving core. I'm a fan of Baker, but he looks like absolute dog shit. So, and I don't see him doing too much.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, with Cleveland to be successful has to run the ball. They have Nick Chubb. They just paid Kareem Hunt. All right, they have to run the ball, play defense, and limit what Baker has to do. And when you get behind as quickly as Cleveland did in this game against Baltimore, and you have to throw the entire second half, that is not a formula for success. Now, they play Thursday night against Cincinnati, so easier opponent. We'll see what they can do. They are, I believe, they're favored by 6.5. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, or yeah, it might be a half now. Still 6 on scores, but
okay.
And I was looking at that before the show, and I'm like, I actually like the Browns next week, just because. I mean, Burrow did everything that he pretty much could have done to win that game.
I mean, they should have won that game.
Right.
They should have won that game easy.
Right down the field. His 2-minute drill was pristine. What did they call? Did they call something back? Or I don't. He just went out and kicked the field goal, and I know the guy pulled his hamstring as he kicked the field goal.
Offensive pass interference, which is the theme of the week.
AJ Green, right. Yes, I was like, I knew they had something where they scored, but yeah, he drove him right down the field and threw a touch. That was a dime that he threw to AJ Green, and it was AJ Green's was a little bit more of a push off than
Michael Gallup,
which was absolutely, that was I had Dallas as well, but
me too.
That was completely and I'm a fucking Eagles fan, and I don't want Dallas to win that game, and I'm watching and I'm screaming no way that you guys just called this. And I mean, he is at full extension, but it's is he full extension and then pushing, or is he just kind of there and you guys are both fighting for the ball? And
Jalen Ramsey sold it very well, by the way. Sold it very well.
Yeah,
he threw that,
it was 3 seconds
back
afterward. They're like, oh yeah, you can see him fall back. And who were the commentators? Herb Street.
No, that was Sunday night. So that was
Sunday
Collinsworth and Al Michaels.
Yeah. Well, now Sunday night is that? I'm jumping all over here, but Herb Street.
They did
Fowler.
the early. They did the early Monday night game. They're going to be the Monday Night Football crew this year for ESPN, which I thought they were really good.
Yeah,
their first pro game.
I was listening to it, and I'm who the hell is this? Because I tuned in. I'm sounds like I'm watching a college game, and then I had to get on the magical Twitter world. I'm all right, but another one I wanted to go through. I mean, did we go over Green Bay, Minnesota?
Not yet.
I mean, just Aaron Rodgers, MVP candidate immediately again. I mean, I wish Hal was here just to see how happy he is about this. But Green Bay looked fucking scary. Their defense stinks, which is per usual. But
I mean, they looked average, and then they kind of played a little prevent D there at the end to kind of let Minnesota get some garbage yards and points. But Rodgers threw for 350, 4 touchdowns. Devontae Adams, 14 catches, $156, and 2 touchdowns. I mean, listen, I stayed away from Aaron Rodgers in every fantasy draft just because he wasn't that great last year. And then when Adams went down, I mean, he wasn't putting up great numbers with Adams in there, and then Adams gets hurt, and then it was
right.
He was QB 20 after that. And then they don't bring anybody else in. So it's just him and Adams again. And after the first week, maybe it's a bounce back year fantasy wise for Rodgers, but
yeah, they had
some more.
Got a question from Joseph Anthony. What's your take on them shitty Eagles? We kind of went through that a little bit earlier, but take on it. They stink. I mean, is it too early to write a team off week 1? No. I don't know. Eagles don't do it for me. They just don't. I don't like anything that is happening there. I mean, they have no guy on that offense now you're just wow, he's good. He's good. I mean, Miles Sanders was out. Lane Johnson was out. You start talking yourself off the ledge a little bit. I mean, you did have some key guys that were missing, and then we lose Boston Scott halfway through that game. So I mean, Eagles, it's you got to let them play it out. But I think Dallas is probably going to wrap this division up. It's not good to say, but we're all 0-1 right now, besides the football team. But not looking good on the Eagles.
How about the football team being the only team 1-0 in the NFC East?
Because
there's Velarde.
Velarde didn't like the my Eagles take, but that's why I'm not on the green room. I mean, I'm over them. But
I didn't think they were going to be that good to begin with. So, am I surprised they lost to Washington? Yeah, but they always start out slow. Remember they were down 17-0 to Washington in Week 1 last year. Came back and won that game, and then they lose to Atlanta after they were ahead in that game, and then they lose inexplicably to Detroit at home in Week 3. And they start out 1-2. I mean, it seems like they start out 1-2 almost every year, with the exception of 17, where everything just fell right. But even in that year, they were 1-1 after 2 weeks. They just start out slow. That's all. They'll see what they do against these tougher teams too.
We lost to a football team.
That is correct. That is correct. One other early game on Sunday, Raiders and Panthers putting up a ton of points. This was about the running backs. Josh Jacobs, 3 touchdowns. McCaffrey, 2 touchdowns. Running backs in fantasy, man.
McCaffrey, I mean, he's
doing number 1 pick things.
Yeah. I think he's been on the winning team of the last 2 of my fantasy. Not my teams, of course, but the last 2 winners in this one league back-to-back years. You gotta get that top pick for that guy. I mean, he's just gonna get a hell of a workload for the next 3 years, and then probably completely disintegrate.
Yep.
I mean, he's the only piece of offense Carolina has. I mean, DJ Moore, I don't hate him either, but other than that, do they have Robbie Anderson?
Yeah, he did what he does. He caught a long touchdown, 75-yard touchdown. So if you start Robbie Anderson every week, I mean that's what you have to hope for, because that's the guy's not going to get a ton of catches, but he can fly. And if you can get a long touch out of him, and it's like a boom or bust he is every week. So
yeah, he's like a Jamison Crowder, same concept. Jamison Crowder had the 1,000-yard fucking 79-yard touchdown.
Yep.
It was Crowder. It actually looked like Robbie Anderson doing it.
Yeah.
Probably about the only sign of life the
Jets had, yeah.
Jets had. But any team besides the Eagles, I allow a couple games before I start talking shit on them at least. Eagles, I'm just they could care less.
Yeah, we can get on them right away.
I just say it's COVID season. Talk to me in 2021 when Jalen Hurts is our quarterback.
Oh man, it's looking that way, man. I hate to say it because I'm a Wentz guy, but
I am too. But I mean, people are just going to be like, "All right, you can't. You're in Philly. You can't win. Get on out of here." And then people are going to hate him, and he can't. That's what I think it is. He's got big ears. He hears everything. Then when he starts hearing shit, he just can't get that out of his head. And I mean, granted, it's not been a easy road of things that he's heard his whole career. I mean, you got Nick Foles was immediate, won the Super Bowl. And then it's like, oh, shit. Well, here's that. Now is Foles going to be your starter? Foles going to take over. Foles going to take over. Then immediately we get rid of Nick Foles, and then you draft the fucking quarterback right behind him.
Yep.
It's like, give him some benefit of the doubt. I mean, moving into the NFL 4 o'clock slates. I was almost maxed out by this point, so I only had one game. And of course, it wins. but I can't do anything because I'm stupid. I got to get off these credit things again and just go back to FanDuel and DraftKings.
Yeah.
Then I'm like trying to put things in on and I don't count what I do on FanDuel. The credit account is where I'm at. So that's my chance to win big. And I did have the Cardinals money line.
Yes.
I'm a big Kyler Murray guy this year.
Yes, I agree.
Had about 58 catches. He's
it
gonna be,
felt like it, didn't it?
Dude, he's gonna be so out, Jeremy, with his week one after he's bashing him immediately when the game gets done. He's like throwing all this shade, and then he's like, I actually watched Jeremy completely bash the Eagles and like talk himself off the ledge, kind of just like every other Eagles fan. But yeah, I mean, Hopkins is going to be a huge help to Carolina, the Cardinals. Kyler Murray just looks like a miniature, like, I don't even know how to describe it. Just how he runs, like, is like straight puffed out and just zooms.
He was their leading rusher.
Yeah. And he's also
91 yards.
Too early for his MVP talks?
Not in my book.
I said it before the season. I said this would be my MVP bet, Kyler Murray. I wonder what the odds are on that.
Yeah, that was definitely the best value probably going into the year because you got to figure Mahomes and Jackson, the top two. But
Russell Wilson also.
Russell Wilson, yeah. But yeah, I loved Arizona coming into this year, coming into this game. I thought this was going to be a statement game for them. They went into San Francisco, the defending NFC champs, divisional rival, and they went in there and won the game. Very impressive. They were probably my most impressive team of the week.
The Cardinals? Very nice. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just looking at the recap of the games. I mean, that's probably your biggest upset between like two good teams, or what you would expect two good teams, besides the like Eagles losing to the football team. Saying obviously Cardinals and Niners, you're saying, are both playoff. I mean, divisional game. That's a big win for Arizona. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be week in and week out they're doing that, but I mean, I guess that's why they load up. Who's the running back there? Kenyon Drake.
Yep.
And did Drake get a touchdown last week?
Yes, he did.
Huh. So yeah, I mean, Drake, Cardinals. What else we got? Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Brady, probably the game of the week for everybody. I didn't touch this game. Probably would have took. I mean, I liked the Saints, but can't say you like a winner after it wins and you don't have it. But
I'll admit I had Tampa plus 2.5. So real small though. Because I had Washington in there, and then a guy that I follow on Twitter is usually really good, like the Eagles. So I'm like, well, then I'm taking Washington out and putting Tampa in.
In a parlay?
No, just a small straight bet.
Oh. Yeah, I was all over, and then I mean, once you start losing, like I went back to it was like the 7:00 Clemson is where my weekend went south. The sick part is that was actually a bailout parlay and reverse. So like it was already kind of south with Notre Dame and Florida State. And then like I said, I had a monster parlay in with Clemson, and who was it? The reverse. I had the Coastal Carolina money line. I was like all for it, and it was like $1,400 swing.
Oh,
that would have been like the start of my bailout. And from that, I would have went into like Sunday up like 400, which would have been like, all right, this is great. And it was just completely downhill from there on out. And then I was just throwing in parlay, reverse, parlay, just to try to hit like anything to get something back. Yep. So you like completely lose all. And I guess the main term is you're on tilt at that point. You just lose all
there.
Right. Like you can just sit there and do probably just $100 straight, 200 straight, whatever it is, and just kind of like chip your way out of it. But now I got to do a $25 parlay with 7 teams in it to win 700 10 times in a row until it loses every one. Yeah, he was there. See that? Truth. It was just sick watching it. And like I said, they take out fucking Trevor Lawrence in the third quarter. So hopefully you don't start seeing that all over college. But like we kind of touched on, COVID might see it a little bit sooner than later. John Suggs, congratulations, won 500 on the over in UNC.
Very good.
If you guys want to go off throughout the show, state your losers, just like us. Feel free. We don't need to hear all about the winners because I don't think we didn't have many winners to the start of our opening week.
No, because we both had like you had Dallas too, so we both had Dallas. They lose. Monday night, last night, I had the Steelers. They covered. And I had the Broncos. They were given 1.5. And I felt like they would kind of pull away. I mean, I think the biggest thing that happened in that game that kind of cost them for that win or a chance at a cover is when they went for 4th and 1 in the third quarter. And they tried to shovel past to like their third string tight end, Jake Butt, and Titans just completely ate it up. And then I'm watching it, and I went to bed after that. It was a late game, and I'm like, you know what? That's no good. And so I'm like, screw it. I'm going to bed. I'm done.
I did have 2 unders.
So that was good for you.
So that's a good start to the week. And I miss I miss Monday being like bailout part of like the old week. Like now it's like there's no weekend. There's no. Yeah. I mean, I still have it kind of like I said. I bought the credit account back for the NFL, but like there's no like kids these days. It's like one of them. Like no kids these days are going to experience like Monday night bailout because they don't like everybody just drafts on like FanDuel. Nobody experiences the like the Sunday night. Like fuck, I got to hit this reverse straight bet. Follow it up on Monday, or I'm done. Nobody that's like I guess just done. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I remember first when I first got into it, and when the week ended Monday, right? Yeah. And just chase, and you're throwing everything you're down at that Monday night game to either get even or be in a very, very deep hole that you had to pay in the next couple days. But that's a good rush though.
And before we head out, I mean, just a couple quotes from Hovermale I wanted to go through from our text thread. Literally lost every game tonight was one of them. Kansas puts nails in coffin. Literally no clue what sport they're playing. What an embarrassing program is Kansas.
Dude, Big 12, bro.
I have Syracuse plus 24, down 7-6 late in the third quarter, lost by 25. I also had Pittsburgh minus 29 and under 51, 42-0 with 5 minutes left. 2 blocks punts, 1 for a touchdown. Going to bed. Good night. Final score 55-0.
Oh, that's bad.
He was probably on the two of the worst beats of the weekend, in which they were kind of sick. especially that over under was like 3 minutes left in the game, and it's just block punt. How do you have How do you even get 2 punts off with like 3 minutes left in the game is pretty incredible.
That's bad. That is really
they block
bad.
them both, and I guess the one goes for a touchdown. What game was that? Pitt under 42-0, 5 minutes left.
Right.
2 block punts, 1 for a touchdown, 1 recovered on the 2-yard line. Final score 55-0.
So we're watching. I know you're probably watching as we're wrapping this up here. I know you're probably watching the basketball game as I am. Did you happen to take anything in this game? Because Boston was favored by 1.5, and the over/under was 209.
Yeah, I had actually I had Boston first to 20 and Boston first quarter, so both of them hit. I have the Celtics for the game as well. They're down 3 right now. I got a -1.5. And I literally just took that because I heard Jalen Rose say I like the fuck is this guy? Brad Stevens.
Oh yeah, okay.
I'm like walking out of my room. I'm like, you know what? I like Brad Stevens too. Immediate on there because I was like, I'm not going to do basketball because I did. Tonight I actually have a lot kind of in right now, but I love the under in the next game, and I took Denver in absolutely everything, money line and parlay that you could possibly take them in.
Wow.
Just because I'm like kind of doing like what I hope. Like I said, like I hope LeBron wins a championship. So in order for that to happen, I believe I need to hope Denver needs to knock off the Clippers so he can just play Denver and then nobody. So that's like my terrible thinking because, I'd probably, if I'm giving anybody advice, probably tell you is to take the Clippers like everybody else in the world. But I'm going to roll with Denver pretty heavy on everything tonight.
Yeah, I like Denver with the points, but I don't think
it's still 7.5.
It's still 7.5. I don't think the NBA is going to let the Clippers not get into the Western Conference Finals. Like they're going to make so much money from Lakers Clippers.
Well, how hard it would be for Denver to come back from 3-1 in back-to-back series. Like, just to get swept would be sick. But the fact that they get there, I don't think the Lakers have an issue with anybody if the Clippers don't pull this through. But
you don't think Miami or Boston has the shot?
Probably not.
No.
They're good, but I don't think they're top of the West good. Top of the West, I would say I would probably take Denver, the Clippers, or the Lakers over the 2 teams in the East.
Okay.
Is that? Do you disagree?
No, I don't.
Yeah,
I don't. I completely agree that the 3 teams that are still alive in the West are better than the 2 in the East.
Let's see what else. Yeah, under 208.5 is kind of in everything for me. So that'll probably go over for you guys. But if we're being real, I got under. Then I got under in the Phillies, and Celtics 1.5. Oh, and Toronto baseball money line against the Yankees. Those are my little runouts for tonight's action.
I have Tampa -155 to close out the series, Eastern Conference Finals in hockey. And I have the Kansas City Royals, who are getting beat 3-0 because Matthew Boyd stinks. And, of course, now he's pitching great.
Toronto,
there you go.
Toronto's down 7-1.
So, all right, baseball.
There's that. I hate baseball.
I did well early in this short season, but lately I just been taking maybe 1 or 2 games a week. And I took one just tonight because we're doing the show and I wanted to give a baseball pick, and it sucks. So there you go.
Well, yeah, here you go. A nice little, you can get if you guys are able to do reverses. I did Nuggets money line and the under, but it's only a 50 pays out 400, where normally 100 would have to pay out for.
Right,
so
and that's what I miss about having like a credit account or going through somebody. The reverses, dude.
I just
miss
bring
the reverse bet.
Football season. I mean, I bet responsibly during like normal sports, basketball, baseball, hockey, Hiroshima League tennis, stuff like that. I keep on the FanDuel accounts, but football season, just like a little like added alternative. I need that like credit card, so to say, on the season. Clearly, I'm maxing accounts out by practically Saturday night on the first weekend of college sports. I blame that all on my buddy Mickey. I'm sure he knows exactly who the hell he is. And the sick part is he actually did good Saturday. And I was like going against him on like 4 of them. And then Sunday is much like Carson Wentz, his wheels fell off.
Came off. Oh, man. Any line for NFL Week 2 that kind of stands out for you?
Oh, next week, I'm just kind of running through them now. I mean, I don't see. Yeah, we got the Cardinals -7 to the Washington football team. The Steelers are -7 as well. I guess they're not even that crazy. I mean, the Cardinals. We said they looked pretty good, but to be a 7-point favorite to the Washington football team, coming off of a pretty good win in their eyes. Chiefs once again are a 9-point favorite. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I like Baltimore given the 7 in Houston. I think Baltimore was a team that last year, who then obviously they were favored in a lot of games, but they would cover a lot, even the big numbers they would cover week after week, and already they covered in week 1 a pretty big number, 7.5. I believe they were favored over Cleveland. They're favored by 7 on the road, although home road spreads are a little off because there's no crowds. But
right,
to be favored by 7 on the road, I mean, tells me a lot. And then if you want a dog, I do like the Giants going to Chicago. I think the Giants look pretty good. They probably should have kept that game closer last night if Daniel Jones didn't throw a couple costly interceptions. But and Chicago looked like crap until halfway through the fourth quarter, and then scored 3 straight touchdowns to come back and beat Detroit.
Yeah,
so they're my underdog. The Giants getting 5.5.
Say, I look, you like the Eagles next week, home dogs.
I still have them favored by 1 point. I mean, how you believe that?
I got them.
I'm looking at ESPN though. So
yeah, I'm on scores. I got the Rams as a favorite here.
How much? Like, okay.
I mean, I'll preach that probably every week. Home dogs. That's just like, but there is that. Like, there's none of that this year. You don't have any. Like, you have home stadium, quiet home stadium dogs now. You don't have like the fans at the home. It's just. I got to look at a whole new way of betting.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird because like you said, the home teams don't have the crowds.
Right, like I said, like home dogs, they get the home crowd behind them. They used to soar, and I mean you probably don't even get to. I mean, I would like to ask somebody that's playing: does it make it that much of a difference that has nobody there, and you guys just playing on this field, or like? Because I forget what podcast I was listening to. It was a basketball dude. I know the podcast. I forget the basketball dude. He was pretty much saying like not having the fans there is like it sucks, but it also gets guys like Jamal Murray to not have any guy. They got nothing to think about. They got nothing to worry about fan wise. So they just go out there and they're just playing like they're at practice. And so I mean, it could help a lot of these guys, but I guess we're waiting to see anyway how it'll pan out. But are we jumping into a little word from our sponsor, Crowd Play?
We are as we wrap it up here for this episode of Total Degenerates. Check out this video from Crowd Play, and remember, download Crowd Play on the Apple App Store or Google Play, and use code THEBOX for 10 points at sign up. Free to play, win cash and prizes. Check it out. And that is going to wrap it up for Total Degenerates. We will see you next week. For myself, Brian Hess, also Paulie Scoops. Hopefully we'll have Hav next week. And a reminder to everybody to bet wisely, and may all your fantasy players do well.
Hopefully. Except for mine. Before we go, I lost 2 leagues by less than 1 point.
Ew.
So think about that.
I lost one. I lost one last night when I had the Denver defense. I lost one when Tennessee kicked the field goal, so it made me lose points because I had the Denver defense, and I lost by 1. Ew, that's 0.1. Ew. I hate those.
So, see you guys next week.
All right. See you guys.